Your yearly bonus? It's frozen indefinitely. You're lucky we even keep you here, honestly. Those words came from a man sitting behind a wooden barrier, his fingers tapping on papers he hadn't even bothered to read. He didn't look at me when he said it, just kept moving things around on his workspace, like I was another task to check off before lunch. I stood there, 3 feet away from him, and felt something crack inside my chest. Not break, crack. Like when you drop a glass, and it doesn't shatter right away, just develops this thin line that spreads slowly until the whole thing falls apart. Budget concerns, he added. Still, not looking up. Company-wide decision. Nothing personal. Nothing personal. My daughter was scheduled for surgery in 11 weeks. 11. I had counted every single day since the doctors told us it couldn't wait any longer. The money I needed was sitting in that bonus. Money I had earned. Money they had promised me at the start of the year when they made me responsible for keeping the entire production floor running. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I just said, "Understood. Thank you for letting me know." He finally looked up then, probably surprised I wasn't falling apart in front of him. He gave me this small nod, like he was pleased I was making it easy for him. I walked out of that room and went straight to the washroom, not to cry, to breathe, to think, to let my brain catch up with what had just happened. My name is Raya, and for 6 years, I had been the senior operations coordinator at Graymont Industries. That's a fancy way of saying I was the person who made sure everything actually worked. Not the person who got credit for it. Not the person who stood in important meetings and talked about growth and progress. I was the person who got things done when everyone else went home. When a machine stopped working at 2 in the morning, I got the call. When suppliers were angry because someone forgot to process payments on time, I smoothed things over. When materials didn't arrive and production was about to stop, I found solutions. When the electricity went out and backup generators failed, I knew which switches to flip and which people to wake up. I wasn't the smartest person in the building. I wasn't the most educated, but I was the person everyone called when things went wrong, and things went wrong constantly. Graymont Industries made industrial parts, big metal pieces that went into machines that built other things. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't pretty, but it was steady work, and steady work meant I could take care of my daughter. My daughter, Mahi. She was 8 years old, and the only reason I woke up every single day. Her father left when she was 2, just walked out one morning and never came back. No explanation, no goodbye, just gone. So it was just us, me and Mahi. 3 months ago, she started complaining about pain in her leg. Not constant, just sometimes, but it got worse. We went to one doctor, then another, then another. The third doctor sat us down and used words I didn't fully understand at first. Growth, abnormal, surgery, soon. The surgery wasn't cheap, not even close. I had some savings, but not enough. My yearly bonus was supposed to cover the rest. That bonus was guaranteed. They had put it in writing. I had checked 3 times, but apparently, writing doesn't mean much when someone decides to freeze your money. Casper, that was his name, my boss. He had been at Graymont for 3 years. I had been there for 6. He got the position because he knew someone who knew someone. That's how these things work. It's never about who does the actual work. It's about who plays the right games with the right people. He drove an imported car, the kind that costs more than most people make in 5 years. He wore watches that could probably pay for 10 surgeries. And he had just told me that the company couldn't afford to pay me what they owed. Budget concerns. I stood in that washroom, staring at my reflection, and something shifted inside me. Not anger, not yet, just clarity. Cold, sharp clarity. I had spent 6 years fixing problems. 6 years being the person everyone relied on. 6 years building relationships with people who actually kept Graymont running. And in that moment, I realized something important. I wasn't just connected to those people. I was the only one connected to them. Casper didn't know them, didn't talk to them, didn't care about them. He just assumed they would always be there, like furniture. Before I continue further, I want to say thank you to everyone listening to this. It means something that you're here, giving me your time. If you're from a small town or a big city, if you're listening while working or traveling or just trying to get through the day, thank you. I hope what happened to me reminds you that you're not powerless, even when it feels like you are. Now, back to the story. 3 people, That's all it took to keep Greymont Industries running smoothly. 3 people who trusted me. 3 people who would listen if I told them something important. The first was Balan. He was the factory supervisor. He had been at Greymont for 23 years. 23. He started as a floor worker when the factory was half its current size. He knew every machine, every process, every shortcut, every problem. When something went wrong, Balan knew how to fix it. When something was about to go wrong, Balan knew how to prevent it. He was 61 years old, close to retirement. He had a bad knee and a worse back, but he showed up every single day because he cared about the people working under him. 52 people reported to Balan, and every single one of them would follow him anywhere. Casper treated Balan like he was invisible, never asked his opinion, never thanked him, just gave orders and expected them to be followed. I had worked with Balan since my first week at Greymont. When I didn't understand something, he explained it. When I made mistakes, he helped me fix them. When I needed someone to trust, he was there. The second person was Raghav. He didn't work for Greymont. He worked for our biggest supplier, Titan Metals. They provided 80% of the raw materials we used. Without them, production stopped. Raghav was the head of deliveries for Titan Metals. He decided when shipments went out, what got priority, who got special treatment. We had worked together for 5 years. I always made sure he got accurate information. I always treated his drivers well when they arrived. I always solved problems quickly, instead of making excuses. Raghav trusted me. He didn't trust Greymont. He didn't trust Casper. He trusted me. The third person was Mohan. He was the union representative for all the workers at Greymont. Unions are supposed to protect workers, make sure they're treated fairly, make sure the company follows rules. Mohan took his job seriously, maybe too seriously, according to management. Mohan and I had a complicated relationship. We didn't always agree, but we respected each other. I listened when he brought up problems. He listened when I explained limitations. We found middle ground. Casper hated Mohan, thought unions were a waste of time, thought workers should just be grateful they had jobs. 3 people, 3 relationships, 3 connections that Casper didn't have and didn't value. I left work early that day, told someone I wasn't feeling well. That wasn't a lie. I went home and sat with Mahi while she did her homework. She kept asking me if I was okay. I kept telling her I was fine. She didn't believe me. 8-year-olds are smarter than people think. That night, after she fell asleep, I sat in the kitchen and thought about what I was going to do. I could look for another job. I could try to borrow money. I could beg Casper to change his mind. Or I could do something else. Something that scared me. Something that felt wrong and right at the same time. I thought about Mahi sleeping in the next room, about the surgery she needed, about the bonus I had earned and been denied. I thought about 6 years of fixing other people's problems while my own kept piling up. I thought about Casper's face when he told me I was lucky to even have a job, and I made a decision. Saturday morning, I woke up early. Mahi was still sleeping. I made myself tea and sat with my phone, staring at it for a long time before I did anything. What I was about to do felt dangerous. Not physically dangerous, but dangerous in a way that meant there was no going back. Once I made these calls, once I said these words, everything would change. I thought about backing out. I thought about just accepting what had happened and finding another way. Then I thought about Casper's face, the way he didn't even look at me, the way he said I was lucky. I made the first call. Balan answered on the 3rd ring. His voice was rough, like always. He had been a heavy smoker for 40 years before he quit. Raya, everything all right? I need to tell you something, I said. Not at the factory. Can we meet somewhere? There was a pause. Then, give me an hour. There's a place near the old railway bridge. You know it? I knew it. We met at a small tea shop, the kind with plastic chairs and stained walls and tea that tastes better than anything expensive. Balan was already there when I arrived, sitting in the corner, a cup in front of him. I sat down, ordered tea I didn't plan to drink. You look terrible, Balan said. Not mean, just honest. Casper froze my bonus. Balan's expression didn't change. He just nodded slowly, like this confirmed something he already suspected. Your daughter, he said. The surgery. 3 months, I said. I needed that money. He took a sip of his tea, didn't say anything, just waited. I'm telling you this because I think you should know something, I continued. Casper has been talking about bringing in new workers, cheaper ones, from outside the city. He thinks the current team costs too much. This wasn't entirely a lie. I had heard him mention it once, months ago, in passing. He probably didn't mean it seriously, but he had said it. Balin's jaw tightened. When? I don't know exactly, but soon. Maybe March. Maybe earlier. He thinks people like you are too expensive to keep. People like you. I watched those words land, watched Balin process what I was really saying. You're old. You're expendable. You're next. 23 years, Balin said quietly. 23 years I've given to that place. I know. And he wants to replace me with someone who doesn't know the difference between a hydraulic press and a lathe. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Balin finished his tea in one long gulp, stood up, looked down at me with something I couldn't quite read in his expression. Thank you for telling me, he said. Then he left. I sat there for another 10 minutes, staring at my untouched tea. My hands were shaking, not from fear, from something else, something that felt like stepping off a cliff and not knowing if there was ground below. 1 down, 2 to go. Raghav was harder to reach. He didn't answer his phone the first time I called, or the second. On the third try, he picked up. Raya, this is unexpected. I need to talk to you about something important. About Greymont. I'm listening. Not over the phone. Can we meet? Another pause. Longer this time. Tomorrow, evening. There's a restaurant near the industrial area. Sagar something. You know it? I'll find it. Sunday evening. The restaurant was small, busy, loud. Raghav was already sitting when I arrived, eating something fried. He waved me over. You want something? He asked. No, thank you. He kept eating. Didn't rush. Raghav never rushed anything. So, he said between bites, what's so important? How much does Greymont owe Titan Metals right now? His chewing slowed. He put down his fork, looked at me carefully. Why are you asking? Because I think it's more than you know about, and I think Casper has been hiding it. Raghav leaned back in his seat. His expression was unreadable. We have an arrangement, he said carefully. Greymont pays within 60 days, sometimes 70. We're flexible because you've always been reliable. Check your records, I said. Check how many months you're actually waiting for payment, not the official paperwork, the actual money. You're telling me he's lying about payments? I'm telling you that I've seen things that don't match what he probably tells your people. I'm telling you that you might want to verify before the problem gets bigger. This wasn't entirely a lie either. I had seen payment delays. I had seen Casper push things back, prioritize other expenses. But I was making it sound worse than it was. Much worse. Raghav studied me for a long time. You're risking a lot by telling me this. I'm risking more by staying quiet. He nodded slowly. I'll look into it. And if you find out I'm right, you should ask for immediate payment. All of it. Before it gets worse. That would shut down production at Greymont. That's not my problem anymore. Something flickered in Raghav's expression. Understanding, maybe. Or respect. Or both. I'll look into it, he repeated. I left before he could ask anything else. 2 down. Mohan was the easiest call to make and the hardest conversation to have. We met on Monday morning, early, before work, at a park near the factory where some of the workers went to smoke. Mohan was sitting on a bench, wearing the same faded blue shirt he always wore. He waved when he saw me approaching. You sounded serious on the phone, he said as I sat down. Do you remember last year, when Casper promised better safety equipment for the factory floor? Of course, we had 3 meetings about it. He said he'd allocate funds. Did he? Mohan frowned. What do you mean? I mean, did you ever see the actual allocation? The actual money set aside for it? He showed us a plan. Said it would take time to implement. Check the budget, Mohan. I think you'll find that there's no money for safety equipment. There never was. He just told you what you wanted to hear, to stop the complaints. Mohan's frown deepened. You're sure about this? I'm sure that if you file a formal request to see the allocation, you won't find anything. And if you bring in an outside inspection, they're going to find violations. A lot of them. You want me to file a complaint. It wasn't a question. I want you to do what you think is right. But I think 52 people are working in conditions that aren't as safe as they should be. And I think someone promised to fix that and then did nothing. Mohan stood up, started pacing. He did that when he was thinking. If I file a formal complaint, they'll investigate. That could shut down production for days, maybe weeks. Yes, people will lose money, daily wages. Yes, but if you're right, if he's been lying about safety, then we have bigger problems. Yes. Mohan stopped pacing, looked at me straight on. Why are you telling me this now? Because I'm done protecting people who don't deserve it. He understood. I could see it in his expression. He didn't ask about my bonus, didn't ask what Casper had done to me. He just understood. I'll file the complaint today, he said. 3 down. I went to work that Monday like nothing had changed, showed up at my usual time, did my usual tasks, smiled when people talked to me, answered questions, fixed small problems. Casper walked past me twice, didn't say anything either time, didn't even look at me. At around 10 in the morning, Balin didn't show up. Nobody knew why at first. People called him. No answer. They sent someone to his house. He wasn't there. By 11, production had slowed down. By noon, it had stopped completely. Machines were running, but nobody knew how to adjust them when things went wrong, and things always went wrong. Someone came to me, asked if I knew where Balan was. I said no. Around 2 in the afternoon, I saw Casper walking quickly toward the owner's section of the building. He looked stressed. That was new. Casper never looked stressed. By 3, there were people from Titan Metals at the gates. Raghav wasn't with them, but I recognized one of his assistants. They were asking for Casper, demanding to speak with him immediately. I heard later what happened in that meeting. Raghav had checked. He had found that Greymont was behind on payments. Way behind. 3 full months. The paperwork had been shuffled around to make it look current, but the actual money hadn't been moving. Titan Metals wanted immediate payment. All of it. Or they would stop all deliveries starting that week. Casper didn't have that kind of money available. Not immediately. He would need approval from the owners. He would need to move things around. He would need time. They didn't give him time. While that was happening, Mohan filed his formal complaint, not just with Greymont, with the actual labor board, the government one, the one that had the power to shut things down if violations were found. By 4 in the afternoon, inspectors were scheduled to come the next day. By 5, Casper knew everything was falling apart at once. I watched him that evening as I was leaving. He was standing near the production floor, talking on his phone, his voice getting louder. He looked like someone who had just realized he was standing in the middle of a collapsing building and there was no exit. I walked right past him. He didn't see me, or maybe he did, and just didn't register that I was there. I went home, helped Mahi with her homework, made dinner, put her to bed, and I waited for Tuesday. Tuesday started the same way every other day started. I woke up, made breakfast for Mahi, got her ready for school, dropped her off, drove to Greymont, but everything felt different, like watching a storm approach. You can see it coming. You can feel the air change, but you can't stop it. I arrived at the factory gates and immediately knew something was wrong. There were more vehicles than usual, official-looking ones, people in uniforms carrying clipboards and equipment. The inspectors had arrived early. I went to my workspace and started going through my usual routine, checking messages, reviewing what needed to be done, acting like everything was normal. Around 9, someone came looking for me, one of the floor managers. Young guy named Arun. He always looked nervous. Today, he looked terrified. Raya, have you seen Balan? Has he contacted you? No, I said. Still nothing? He's not answering anyone. His family says he's fine, but he's not coming in. They won't say why. Maybe he's sick. For 2 days? Without telling anyone? I shrugged, kept working. Arun stood there for a moment, like he wanted to say something else, then walked away. Without Balin, everything was moving slower. The floor workers knew their individual jobs, but they didn't know how everything connected. They didn't know what to do when the usual process hit an unusual problem. They kept coming to other managers with questions. Those managers didn't have answers. Production was running at maybe 40% capacity, and that was generous. Around 10, I saw Casper walking with the inspectors, 3 of them. They were pointing at things, writing things down, asking questions. Casper was trying to smile, trying to be charming, trying to explain things away. It wasn't working. I heard pieces of their conversation as they walked past my area. This hasn't been serviced in how long? Where's the documentation for the ventilation system maintenance? These guards are supposed to be replaced every 6 months. Who authorized removing this safety barrier? Each question made Casper's face tighter, more strained. I kept working, kept my head down, stayed invisible. At lunch, I heard people talking. The inspectors had found violations, multiple ones. Nothing catastrophic, nothing that put lives in immediate danger, but enough to write reports, enough to mandate changes, enough to create problems. Around 2 in the afternoon, the people from Titan Metals came back. More of them this time. They weren't asking nicely anymore. They were demanding payment, now, not next week, not when convenient. Now, I heard Casper's voice from behind a door, loud, angry, then quieter, pleading. The owners were involved now, the actual people who owned Greymont. They didn't come to the factory often, maybe twice a year, but they were here now. 2 older men in expensive clothes who looked at everything like it was disappointing them. They went into a private room with Casper. The door stayed firmly shut for 2 hours. When Casper came out, his face had changed. The confidence was gone. The arrogance was gone. He looked smaller somehow, diminished. I was walking past when one of the owners called out to me. "You, Raya, is it?" I stopped, turned. "Come here for a moment." I walked over. Both owners were standing there. Casper was a few feet away, looking at the floor. "How long have you been with Greymont?" the first owner asked. He had gray hair and glasses that made his eyes look bigger than they were. 6 years. "And your role is?" "Senior Operations Coordinator." "That means you handle the daily operations? Make sure things run smoothly?" "Yes." The second owner, shorter and rounder, spoke up. "Were you aware of the payment delays with Titan Metals?" I chose my words carefully. I knew some payments were taking longer than usual. "Did you inform anyone?" I mentioned it to Casper several times. He said he was handling it. Both owners looked at Casper. He didn't look up. "And the safety equipment issues that the union representative filed a complaint about. Were you aware of those?" "No." I knew the equipment had been promised. I didn't know the allocation hadn't gone through. More looks at Casper. "Thank you, Raya. You can go." I went back to my workspace. My hands were shaking again, but this time it felt different. This time it felt like I was watching something I had built actually work. The rest of Tuesday was chaos, quiet chaos, the kind where people whisper instead of shout, but everyone knows something terrible is happening. Casper stayed in his office most of the afternoon. People went in and out, meetings, conversations, arguments, probably. I went home at my normal time, picked up Mahi from school, made dinner, helped with homework, read her a story before bed. She asked me if I was feeling better. I told her I was getting there. Wednesday morning, I almost didn't go to work. Part of me wanted to stay home, avoid whatever was coming next, but another part of me needed to see it, needed to witness what I had put in motion. Balance still hadn't returned. Production was barely functioning. They had brought in 2 other supervisors from different shifts to try to cover, but neither of them had Balin's knowledge. Neither of them had his 30 years of experience. They were doing their best, but their best wasn't enough. Machines kept stopping. Processes kept failing. Workers kept asking questions nobody could answer. The inspectors came back. More of them. They spent the morning measuring things, testing things, taking samples of air quality. They found more violations. Not because they were looking harder, because once you start looking, you see everything. Around noon, Titan Metals made their decision official. No more deliveries until payment was received in full. The factory had enough raw materials for maybe 3 more days of production. Maybe. But production was already so slow that 3 days of materials would probably last a week. Casper was called into another meeting with the owners. This one lasted longer, 4 hours. People walked past that room and heard raised voices. Not just Casper's, all of them. When the meeting ended, Casper came out looking like someone had physically beaten him. He walked straight to his office, grabbed some personal items, and left the building without talking to anyone. People noticed. People whispered. I kept working. Thursday, Casper didn't come in at all. Someone else was handling his responsibilities. A woman from another branch. She looked stressed within an hour of arriving. Balin finally contacted someone. Not Casper. Not the owners. He contacted Mohan, the union representative. He wasn't coming back, he told Mohan. He was done. He had given Greymont 23 years and been treated like he was disposable. So he was making it official. He was retiring early. Immediate effect. The news spread through the factory like fire. People were shocked. People were angry. People were scared. Without Balan, production couldn't run properly. Not at full capacity. Maybe not at all. Finding someone to replace him would take months. Training that person would take even longer. And in the meantime, Greymont was falling apart. The union used the moment. They filed additional complaints, not just about safety equipment, about working conditions, about promises that had been broken, about respect that had been denied. The owners were at the factory every day now, trying to fix things, trying to save what was left. Friday afternoon, the announcement came. Casper was being reassigned. Not fired. Companies like Greymont don't fire people like Casper. They move them somewhere less visible. He was being sent to a small branch, far away, a place that handled minor administrative work, a place where he couldn't cause more damage, a place where he would report to someone younger, someone newer, someone who would watch him carefully. It was humiliation dressed up as a lateral move. Everyone knew it. I heard the news while I was organizing some paperwork. Someone mentioned it casually, like it wasn't the thing I had been waiting for. I didn't react, just nodded, kept working. Around 4 that afternoon, someone from the administrative section came to find me. Raya, you need to come with me. The owners want to talk to you. My heart stopped for a second. This was it. They had figured it out. They knew what I had done. I was finished. I followed the person to the same room where the owners had been meeting all week. The door was open. Both owners were inside, sitting at a small table. Come in, Raya. Close the door. I did. Sit down. I sat. The gray-haired owner spoke first. We've been reviewing what happened this week. The production issues, the payment problems, the safety violations, the supervisory gap. I waited. We've also been reviewing personnel files, trying to understand how things fell apart so quickly. I kept my face neutral, didn't say anything. The other owner leaned forward. Your file is interesting. 6 years, consistently strong performance, multiple commendations from various department heads. You've handled emergencies, solved problems, kept things running during difficult periods. I was just doing my job. Yes, but apparently you were doing other people's jobs too, including Casper's. I didn't respond. Your bonus was frozen, the gray-haired owner said. It wasn't a question. Yes, without consultation with us, without proper justification, just frozen because Casper decided it was a cost he could cut. He said it was a company-wide decision. It wasn't. It was his decision, one he didn't have authority to make. The shorter owner pulled out a paper, slid it toward me. Your bonus has been released, full amount, plus an additional amount for the distress this caused. It will be in your account by Monday. I looked at the paper, looked at the numbers. They were real. Thank you, I managed to say. We're also offering you a new position, operations manager. It's a promotion, significant salary increase. You'll report directly to us, not to whoever replaces Casper. I stared at them. This wasn't what I expected. This wasn't part of the plan. You don't have to answer now, the gray-haired owner said. Think about it over the weekend. Let us know Monday. I nodded, stood up, started to leave. Raya, the shorter owner called out. I turned back. Whatever happened this week, whatever caused all these problems to surface at once, I want you to know something. This company needs people who care about it, people who understand it, people who will protect it when others won't. He was watching me carefully, like he knew, like he suspected, but he wasn't angry. He was grateful. I left that room and went straight to the washroom, locked myself in a stall, and finally, I let myself feel it. Not guilt, not regret, relief, pure, overwhelming relief. I had done it. I had stood up to someone who thought I was powerless, and I had won. I went home that evening and told Mahi the good news. Not all of it, just the parts she needed to know. The bonus was coming. The surgery could happen. Everything was going to be okay. She hugged me so hard I thought my ribs might crack, and when she pulled back, there were tears in her eyes. I was scared, she whispered. I didn't want to tell you, but I was really scared. I know, baby. Me too. But it's okay now. That night, after she fell asleep, I sat in the kitchen with a cup of tea I didn't drink and thought about what I had done. I had lied, not completely, but enough. I had taken small truths and made them bigger. I had taken fears and made them real. I had pushed 3 people to act on information that wasn't entirely accurate. Balin thought he was being replaced. Maybe he would have been eventually, maybe not. I didn't know for sure. Raghav thought Greymont was hiding serious payment problems. The problems existed, but maybe not as bad as I made them sound. Mohan thought safety promises had been completely ignored. They had been delayed, deprioritized. But ignored? That was a stronger word than the truth deserved. I had taken reality and twisted it just enough to make people act. And because they acted, everything fell apart for Casper. Was that wrong? Yes. Did I regret it? No. Maybe that made me a bad person. Maybe it didn't. I couldn't tell anymore. All I knew was that my daughter was going to get the surgery she needed, and the man who tried to take that away from her had lost almost everything. That felt like justice, even if it wasn't the clean kind. The weekend passed slowly. I took Mahi to the park. We ate ice cream. We watched movies. I tried to enjoy the moment, but part of my brain kept running through everything that had happened, looking for cracks, looking for places where I might have made mistakes. Monday morning, I went back to work early. The factory felt different, quieter, more uncertain. Casper's office was empty. Someone had already packed up his things. The wooden nameplate on the door was gone. I went to find the owners. They were both there, in a temporary workspace they had set up to handle the crisis. Raya, the gray-haired owner said when he saw me. Have you made a decision? I need to ask something first, I said. Balin, the factory supervisor who left. Would it be possible to reach out to him? Ask him to come back? Both owners looked at each other. We tried, the shorter one said. He refused, said he was done, said he didn't trust management anymore. What if I asked him? You think he'd listen to you? I think he might. They considered this, then nodded. If you can get Balin back, even part-time, even as a consultant until we find a permanent replacement, that would solve a major problem, the gray-haired owner said. I'll try, I said. And about the position you offered, I accept. They both smiled. We discussed details, salary, responsibilities, start date. It all felt surreal, like I was living someone else's life. After the meeting, I called Balan. He didn't answer at first. I tried again and again. On the 4th call, he picked up. Raya, I was wondering if you'd contact me. Can we meet? Why? Because I want to ask you something. In person. In person. Silence. Then, same place as before. 1 hour. The tea shop near the railway bridge. Same plastic chairs. Same stained walls. Balin was already there, looking older than I remembered. More tired. I sat down, ordered tea. Casper's gone, I said. Reassigned. Far away. He won't be a problem anymore. I heard. The owners want you back. Not working for someone like him. Working with people who actually value what you do. Balin shook his head. I'm done, Raya. I've given enough. I'm not asking for them. I'm asking for me. He looked up at that. They promoted me, I continued. Operations manager. I start next week, and the first thing I need to do is fix the production floor. But I can't do that without someone who actually knows how everything works. I can't do it without you. You don't need me. You're smart enough to figure it out. Maybe. Eventually. But eventually means months. Months of running at half capacity. Months of those 52 workers wondering if they'll still have jobs. Months of uncertainty. Balin sipped his tea. Didn't say anything. I'm not asking you to come back permanently, I said. Just temporarily. 3 months. Maybe 6. Help me find someone good. Help me train them. Make sure the transition actually works this time. Why should I? Because those 52 people on the floor? They didn't do anything wrong. They shouldn't suffer. Because management was terrible. And because you care about them. I know you do. Otherwise, you would have left years ago. Balin was quiet for a long time. Then, he sighed. Deep and heavy. 6 months. Part-time. And I wanted in writing that I'm consulting, not employed. I'm not going to be treated like I'm disposable again. Done. We shook hands. His grip was still strong. You're tougher than I thought, he said. I underestimated you. Everyone does. He smiled at that. Small, but real. I spent the next few weeks settling into the new role. It was harder than I expected. Not the work itself, but the shift in how people treated me. Suddenly, I was the person making decisions instead of just implementing them. Suddenly, I had authority. Some people were happy about it. Others weren't. There were whispers, rumors, How did she get promoted so fast? What did she do? Who did she know? I ignored them, focused on the work. Balin came back part-time, just like he promised. With his help, production slowly returned to normal. We hired a new supervisor, younger, eager to learn. Balin trained him carefully, patiently. The payment issues with Titan Metals got resolved. It took time and some difficult negotiations, but Raghav was willing to work with me. The trust we had built over 5 years was still there, even though it had been tested. The safety violations got addressed. New equipment, new protocols, new training. Mohan worked with me to make sure everything was done properly this time. No more empty promises. Greymont slowly stabilized. Not quickly, not perfectly, but it stabilized. Mahi had her surgery 6 weeks after I got the bonus. It went well, better than expected. She spent 2 weeks recovering, complaining about being bored, demanding I bring her books and games and attention. It was the best 2 weeks of my life. 3 months after everything happened, I got a message from Casper. It was short, simple. I know what you did. My heart stopped when I read it. I stared at those 5 words for a long time. Then I deleted the message and blocked his number. He knew, or he suspected, but it didn't matter. He had no proof, no way to prove anything. And even if he did, who would believe him? Who would care? He had lost. I had won. That was the only truth that mattered. 6 months passed, then a year. Balin eventually retired for real. The new supervisor was doing well, good enough to handle things without constant oversight. Raghav and I maintained our relationship. Titan Metals remained Greymont's primary supplier. Business as usual. Mohan and I worked together on several initiatives to improve conditions for workers. Not because we had to, because it was the right thing to do. Greymont grew, slowly, steadily. The owners trusted me with bigger decisions, bigger responsibilities. I proved I could handle them. Mahi fully recovered. She started playing sports again, running, jumping, being a normal kid. Sometimes, late at night, I thought about what I had done, the lies I had told, the manipulation, the way I had used people's trust to destroy someone who had hurt me. I thought about whether I would do it again. The answer was always yes, not because I was proud of it, but because when you're backed into a corner, when someone takes away your power and your options and your hope, you do what you have to do. You use whatever tools you have. You fight with whatever weapons are available. I had been told I was powerless, lucky to even have a job, disposable. But I wasn't powerless. I just looked that way. And that was the most dangerous kind of power, the kind nobody sees coming. Casper learned that lesson the hard way. Some people might say what I did was wrong, that I should have found another way, that manipulation and lies are never justified. Maybe they're right. Maybe I should have been better. But I wasn't trying to be better. I was trying to survive. I was trying to save my daughter. And when you're fighting for something that important, morality becomes a luxury you can't afford. I don't know if that makes me a villain or a hero. Probably neither. Probably just a person who was pushed too far and pushed back harder. All I know is that Mahi is healthy. We're stable. We're safe. And the person who tried to take that away from us lost everything he valued. That's enough for me. Before I finish, I want to thank you for listening to my story. Whether you think I did the right thing or the wrong thing, thank you for hearing me out. If this story meant something to you, if it reminded you that you're stronger than you think, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a like and let me know in the comments where you're from and what you thought. And if you want to hear more stories like this, real stories about real people fighting back, please subscribe. It helps more than you know. Thank you. The world isn't fair. It isn't kind. It doesn't care about your struggles or your pain or your desperate need to protect the people you love. But that doesn't mean you're helpless. It just means you have to be smart, strategic, willing to do what others won't. I was just a person doing a job, invisible, unremarkable, easy to overlook, until I wasn't. And that made all the difference.